All right, here's the truth. Being in a sales role never lets you rest. Quotas are continuing to refresh each month. You have to continue to hit either the same or higher numbers than you did previously. You may have periods at the beginning of each month to relax, but there's invisible stress that's weighing down a lot of people in sales roles, and it can bleed into personal life, and it can cause people to just become super stressed out, burnout, and I've experienced a lot of this stuff and all of this stuff, which is why I'm making this video today. The bad news is quotas are rarely gonna reduce. And if you're in a sales career right now or wanting to get into a sales career and wanna understand what it's like to perform and what that day-to-day looks like, things aren't likely gonna change in the next decade or so. So what can we do about it? Well, the only thing that you can do is get damn good at what you can control and surrender the rest. Surrender the rest, okay? This is the only way. And yes, there is a way to do this role and be a top performer without hustling and grinding and sacrificing your personal. So here's the key. Everybody has the same exact 24 hours, okay? Yet how are there people that can seem like they're just doing effortless work and getting amazing results, and then there's other people that have the same amount of time, but they just aren't getting the results they want and are honestly more stressed out than winning? It's simply because of one thing, okay? And I've learned this through years of experience in this arena, being labeled as a top performer and achieving that status multiple times over. It's managing your time and energy. Said differently, what's the biggest difference between you and Jeff Bezos or you and Warren Buffett or anybody that you see as successful? It's literally just how they spend their time and energy, because they're not exempt from the laws of nature, okay? They have the same 24 hours as you do. And so we also live in the same universe as them, on the same planet. We wear clothes like them. It's just about how you manage your time and energy. And why can't we take advantage of the same laws that they are tapping into to be able to have more potent energy input and managing their time better, okay? It's literally those two things. And before we actually get into the practical, a little about me. I'm Chad. I've been in sales for over 3 years now. Throughout my career, I've generated over $500,000 in monthly recurring pipeline, which is like $6 million in annual recurring revenue. I've made thousands and thousands of calls, cold calls. I've booked hundreds of meetings. I promoted into an AE role just 15 months, which is actually way above average and is a fast track to becoming a SDR or appointment setter to an AE closer in the tech space specifically. But I now operate in the remote high ticket sales space. It's all essentially the same principles, just different space and industry. And I have other videos where I talk about what might be best for you, but I've also invested countless of thousands of dollars, literally in the 5-figure range, working with mentors and learning and on my own education regarding sales and performance, and even more thousands of dollars on the energetic side of this work as well. So I have a few things that I'm gonna share that's gonna simplify literally how to become a top performer, what mistakes I made, how to navigate if I were to do it differently, the struggles I went through that made me, not perform as well as I wanted to, and then how I took my time back, took my personal life back, worked less than everyone around me, but performed better than pretty much everybody around me for a lot of cases and a lot of times. Okay, so let's do it. I know a lot of you guys who watch me are beginners to sales or looking to know how to succeed in a remote sales role in some shape or form, SDR, tech sales, whatever that may be, remote sales role. But if you're just a high performer and you want to know how to be, manage your time and energy better, these principles will still apply. It's all, taking advantage of the laws of the universe and how things operate, okay? So I'm gonna cover a lot of these principles, okay? And by the way, I made an entire free guide. If you're about to go start taking notes, I made a guide for you. It's the second link in the description. It takes you to my Substack where that is, okay? I used to do Google Docs for guides, but it's on my Substack now where I hang out and spend a lot of time. Okay, time and energy. Adjusted the camera here for my comfort. Time and energy. Okay, we're gonna focus on time first. How do we manage our time? Now, I've succeeded with focusing on just time alone, but the key that I want to tell you here is you can't focus on just one or the other. You have to bring these two together. For example, what it looked like for me when I was just managing my time was I was able to know how to like make my work more potent and fill up more of my calendar with those high value activities, which I'm going to cover what they are. But I ended up still bleeding into my personal life because I still didn't know how to manage my energy, and I was huffing and puffing to get through it, waking up at 4 a.m. trying to get ahead and like managing my time better, but falling into the trap of not managing my energy better, which bit me in the ass, honestly. So don't fall into this trap. I'm gonna give you the distinction between the two. And a lot of people just do time, and that's why they fail and still don't know how to, everybody knows how to make a to-do list, do all this stuff that can make you more productive, but you don't know the energy piece, it's not gonna work for you. You're still gonna be running and operating on a way that you don't know how to manage your energy. You're gonna run on exhaustion. You're gonna be running and driving by your deep trauma inside if you have that, which a lot of people do, everybody does. But anyways, there's also something interesting happens when you do get to the energy side. It's more of like it goes deep into, there's practical, and there's also spiritual, where if you really start understanding energy and working with those energetics, things are going to start to happen where you start to attract opportunities to you, okay? A lot of people think that everything happens just externally and that you just force the external, but no, it's also with your internal state and the way that your internal state operates, and your nervous system resonance projects as an antenna, like the energy projects out a frequency that can align you to maybe that promotion, align you to better opportunities, almost somehow without you being able to explain it, align opportunities to come to you, meetings to come in, etc. And so this is a huge piece, okay? That not a lot of people are savvy or are open-minded enough to get into this, but a lot of people who watch my channel are becoming to be more aware of the number one, like, this is one of the most important things you can understand in life, okay? All right, so it's a mixture of practical and energetic, spiritual, and combining these two together is a potion of magic. I am telling you, that is where the magic is gonna happen. Let's break down time. So this is exactly what I tell people when they first start a BDR role. I've helped many people land their first SDR role or entry-level sales role as a BDR, appointment setter, whatever that is, okay? This is the first thing that can simplify everything for you, because you're getting into onboarding, or you have all these, like, there's tons of things to do. There's Slack messages, emails, there's busy. There's stress, like, oh, we got a number now, we have a quota. What do I do, right? You go into each day kind of just flailing your arms, not knowing what to actually do, okay? You need structure. And this is where time management comes in, okay? Now, the first thing that you need to understand in time management are 80-20s and the 80-20 principle. What is the 80-20 principle? It's basically a principle. It's a universal law. You can look it up. It's basically 20% of all the activities that people do, and you can take this to all kinds of data out there. 20% of everything usually is responsible for 80% of results, or 80% of the outputs that we want. Okay, so what this means is you could take someone who's so busy all day and showing up on every Zoom call and calling all throughout the day and everything, and checking Slack and all this stuff, and you can really boil down 20% of what they do in that day out of the entire day as what actually generates 80% of their results. Okay, so the way you take this principle and let it work for you is find out what those 20% activities are. Those are the most potent needle drivers, and then block everything out. Okay, you're gonna need to definitely focus on things like admin and updating your CRM or notes or whatever, and hopping in team calls. But you're gonna want to maximize the more that you can fill up your calendar and your day with just those needle movers, the more the output is gonna come with the same amount of time that you spend, the same amount of energy you put into it, okay? Does that make sense? So if you want to have your life be easier and work less but get more results, just focus here on the 20% of activities that yield the most results, okay? It's a universal principle law. So we can either work with this and how the life operates universally, or we can work against it and just decide to check Slack, email, and then call someone and then go back and do all these stuff. Like just being busy for busy's sake, to feel productive. That's an illusion, okay? I literally signed on. I literally can get more done than people do in like 2 days in half a day in some cases when I was really optimizing for this. I guarantee that. I was getting so much done, and I would just get in potently, just do a Neil driver and focus on that, go to the next one, etc. This is the key. So there's an 80-20s of sales. What is it for sales? It's 3 things. 1, it is pipeline. Oh, I spelled pipeline wrong. Pipeline generation. Okay? I hope you can see that. I think you can. Pipeline generation. That is the first one. Okay? Pipeline generation is getting new business, getting new meetings. It's usually outbound. Okay? Where am I getting sales from? Where are those calls coming from? Okay, I need to generate. Every sales role has a generation factor where you generate calls to then close them, or generate leads to go call and book them on a call for your account executive if you're a BDR. Okay, it's the same thing across all roles. It's pipeline generation. The second one, just make sure my computer doesn't fall asleep, is basically acceleration. Acceleration. Pipeline acceleration, okay? So now you have calls, you have deals. How do we accelerate those to bring them to a close? In some cases, you close them on that call once you generate them, but in some cases, there's space in between, or there's people that tell you, hey, follow up. So this is staying on top of follow-ups. And again, you can check my newsletter where I talk about this. Following up or just nurturing a deal to bring it toward close. Okay, that's what that is. So that's it, literally. And then the third one is learn something, just for sake of simplicity. Learn something. Learning. The third one's learning. Okay, what do I mean by people don't realize the importance of doing this on a daily basis. Okay, if I spent, and I made this mistake, I started at a big company, BDR, and at first I was learning during onboarding, but then when I got on the floor, I was like activity, and I was just trying to hammer the phones, hammer emails, hammer all this stuff to try and get results, and I neglected carving out that space to actually learn. And best way to learn, in my opinion, is listen to other people's calls that are doing well. Okay, and I just neglected doing that on a daily basis. I would do it every now and then. So what happens is I was doing the same output, but my skill level was going stagnant, kind of flat, maybe slightly up still because I'm still learning through experience. But I did that for too long where my curve was flat, okay? So I was having to keep putting in the same energy, keep putting in the same effort, and things weren't getting easier. And so if you want things to get easier on a daily basis exponentially, the curve can look like this if you're learning every day. Even on a day where you feel like you didn't do well, whatever, if you learn that day, it's a win, okay? We're gonna talk about wins and defining your wins. But what's gonna happen is you're gonna exponentially blow past everybody if you're consistent with that 80-20. Okay, that's a reason why it's an 80-20, because that's a 20% activity that moves the needle. I'm telling you, even just learning and listening to one call, that moves the needle because it's marinating your brain with insights on a daily basis, which just compound, and eventually everything crashes in on you and just clicks like a puzzle, okay? All right, good, you guys can see all this. Okay, those are the 3 80-20s, all right? So this is the foundations of managing time, okay? The other thing for time, we're still in time, I shouldn't have erased that, is calendar blocking. Okay? You're gonna see this in the guide on the next section if you go to the Substack. Calendar blocking. Okay? Now all we have to do is take those 3 things. This applies for any sales role, by the way. Take those 3 things and just create blocks on your calendar. Okay? Jen, Excel, LND. I like acronyms, okay? These are 80/20s, generation, acceleration, LND, okay? And I put these on my calendar, and I keep them, I don't do like a repeat calendar block, okay? I make them free so that people can book calls if you're a closer. But I just put them, and this is another thing, you wanna stay adaptable. So I allow myself to move things as I go throughout my day. For example, if you book a same day meeting, or if something does come up where you have a surprise team meeting or something that you need to attend, right? Or if you need to all of a sudden answer a priority email that has to do with literally booking a meeting or closing a sale, like sometimes you need to move stuff. And so I stay fluid. It's important to stay fluid, or said otherwise, adaptable with these. But think about how simple that is. Literally all that you do and all that I was doing when I was having the best performance was blocking these out, just getting the rest out of my brain, okay? I go into each day, I know literally when. So I usually plan tomorrow, today. Something I learned from someone who's a big inspiration to me, Sam Ovens. He is a very successful entrepreneur. Plan tomorrow, today, okay? So usually I know while I'm sleeping, my subconscious, I don't even have to consciously think about it. My brain's already committing to the blocks that I put on my calendar for the next day in my sleep, thinking about it. That's how the subconscious works. It'll just like, I'll wake up with so much more clarity having planned tomorrow, today. And so I literally go into the day with such a simple view of literally what I'm gonna do and when. Okay, now in reality, there may be like a team meeting here. There may be like, you have to go to a cafe if you wanna go, right? But here's the good thing is you can always adapt. As long as you're filling up your calendar with the 3 80/20s, you're going to be very successful, okay? I know this, okay? I've spent thousands of dollars learning this stuff. This is the potent stuff. Simplicity is always what wins. Okay, it's not always about complex confusion stuff or secret knowledge that you're gonna find that is making people be successful. It's that they are just actually eliminating all the confusion. And it's a reversal. It's like, okay, like all that stuff's cool. Yeah, checking all these emails is cool. It's not the time for that, okay? And I usually like to do admin like at the end of the day and just get that over with. So if I need to, like I usually answer emails at the end of the day or do a little bit of admin in the morning, check some emails, and then check emails at the end of the day, answer some messages from teammates. But if you can really be potent through your 80/20s, like you're good. And hey, you don't have to fill up your whole day. This is the whole key about being in control of your time, okay? Is the reason I get to have free time, and this can be bigger, obviously, this is not a good example, but sometimes like, if I wanna have free time, if I want half my day or a quarter of my day free, okay, now I know that if I just have to hammer the 80/20s for all throughout here in a potent way. I'm gonna tell you how to increase your potency, and then I'll be good, all right? And so this is literally what most people's calendars look like, are just like emails, make a few dials, join a team meeting, take a break, answer some other emails, check deals, huddle a friend or call a friend, right? So like you can really cut through all of that stuff and other people who are doing that by just focusing on 80/20s, okay? I think you get the point on that. Okay, now how can we increase, okay. So now there's ways that we can increase the potency of that, okay? First one is Pomodoro. What is Pomodoro, okay? It's another principle, universal law of the universe, universal law of the universe. If you focus on one thing for a period of time, instead of multitasking doesn't exist. If you focus on one thing, and setting a timer is also cool. I love this Pomodoro extension you can get for any web browser. And you can look it up online. The logo has like a tomato. I don't know what it's called. I forget. I think it's just called Pomodoro something. Okay, but this allows you to just quickly set a timer, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever. And so when you go into a block, let's say a generation block, you kind of carve out 30, like the time, 30, 40, whatever you want to get into, right? But if you leverage Pomodoro, meaning time yourself 30 minutes, it activates something else in your brain, okay? When you set a timer for something and eliminate any multitasking and giving yourself a commitment and a permission to just focus on that one thing. And even if you want to go overboard, set up your tasks, like set up the tabs you need open before you go into the block, set the timer and rip. And I'm telling you, that's going to activate new mechanisms in your brain to just do that. It's going to work, okay? So Pomodoro is very powerful. The other one is Parkinson's law. I'll just do it under here. Parkinson's law. This law is that it's another law of the universe, okay? It means basically the universe, it means that the amount of time it takes to do something will expand or contract based on how much time you assign it, okay? That's what it means. So how can we take advantage of that? Here's an example. If you've ever had a paper that you had to do in school and they gave you a week to do it, it always usually took you a week. You handed it in a week later. Why is it rare that people hand it in like 2 days later? Because it's just a law of how your brain works. Okay, you're gonna take that amount of time to do it. It's just a fact. Okay, and so the same principle applies here. If they gave us 2 days to do that paper, you would get it done in 2 days. Okay, this can even go down to minutes. Okay, if we gave ourselves 30 minutes to do a certain amount of pipe gen, this is also where like you can set a daily, I like having a daily checklist, but like where I actually know what outputs I'm looking to get, and I'll cover that. But anyways, committing to a certain amount of time to do those blocks can help you get it done faster. So you can commit to like, let's say 50 emails or like sourced companies, and like 10 sourced new companies sourced, right? So you can set a goal for that block, and then you can challenge yourself with time. Okay, don't make it too unrealistic. But if you give yourself a whole hour to do this, it's going to take you an hour. If you give yourself 30 minutes, but giving yourself a clear, specific output, it's going to take you that amount of time. That's the law of Parkinson's, and that's how you can take advantage of that. And so one thing I overlooked too was having a daily checklist to know, okay, I have my 80-20s, I can use Pomodoro, I can use Parkinson's, right? What do I know is a win, okay? Because in sales, you're not gonna book a meeting every day. You're not going to close a deal every day, in most cases. And so how do we know it's a win, okay? Usually, and I struggled with this too, but like if I didn't book a meeting or close a deal that day, then you log off kind of not so hyped, not so amped. You kind of maybe even feel like, damn, did I really do anything? And that's a tough spot to be in. So you want to define your daily wins, okay? So that if you do them, they're based on what you can control. They're based on what you can control instead of what you can't control, like booking a meeting. You can't control booking the meeting, but you can control the dial. Okay, so I like to do, just have a certain amount of calls, new outreach, like new people, ICPs, companies that you're targeting, a certain amount of new ones. Let's say 50 calls, 10 new outreaches, like 50 new companies found, vetted out, and then like outreach them, and 50 calls, and then like one L&D block, learning and development block, like maybe 60 minutes. Okay. Now I could book no meetings, but I know I'm making progress if I can look back at the end of the day and check these boxes. Okay. And this is what I can fill in for the 80-20s, and these are 80-20s. Okay. This is generation. This is L&D. Okay. And I forgot, you want to do like 15-minute follow-ups. The acceleration usually can be quick unless you're doing like, some lengthy email to really like get movement on a deal, all right? You can also do like strategy for the acceleration, like, listen back to the call, see if there's anything you missed, etc. for the next call and prepare better for it. You can use that time to call your leads and check in on them, right? And so this is how I get out of the day without having maybe any visible output and be like, damn, that was a win. And already you could have someone who booked a meeting in that day, but had such scattered results that they weren't scattered inputs, they weren't operating with principles like these. And I'll still be confident that over the long term, over the spread of months, or the month you're in, I will blow past them, okay? You will blow past them leveraging this. The last thing I'll say about time before moving to energy is I like to do some kind of gratitude, like 3 things I'm grateful for before logging off. And I miss this sometimes, but this is such an important piece. And also just celebrate your wins, okay? This just gives your brain that extra juice, that extra, hey, I didn't book a meeting today, but what did I win? What am I grateful for? You get to immerse yourself in your environment and be like, I'm literally working in my sweatpants, making good money, enjoying what I do. I'm aligning, developing, learning every day, working on myself and deep stuff as well. So that's what gratitude can look like, really feeling the emotion of it. Like, what would it feel like to not have this job? What would it feel like to not have the place that I can live in right now? And then that amplifies the gratitude, and that just helps rewire the brain to get out of the stressful state. A lot of you guys are facing overwhelm or stress in your sales roles, okay? Or just in your lives in general, okay? And that rewires it. It helps you just realize, what you have. And so celebrate wins could even be like, you know what? I hit my 80-20s today. That's a huge win, okay? Another win could be I ate a healthy lunch. Huge win. Or another win could be I gave myself the rest I deserved, that free time, okay? That could be, that's what celebrating wins. But I like to just do this because it's such a simple, quick thing you can do, but it's another compounding thing that has that exponential curve attached to it. So now we move on to the exciting stuff, okay? We did some practical stuff. Now let's talk about energy, okay? Because like I said before, this is deep and this is spiritual, but this is tied to how you're gonna eliminate burnout over time. Because a lot of people, and this was the story with me, I was driven by a lot of very high achievement driven, and honestly a lot of rooted trauma in my upbringing, not having any money with where I grew up and everything, and struggling and seeing my family struggle with money. It gave me these wounds and drivers that are, channeled correctly can be very powerful, but was driving me to overwork. And part of me was sacrificing my personal life, friendships, and all this stuff. But I was just being driven fully by that wound deep internally. And that's an example of why energy comes in, to understand how to use your energy correctly, okay? One of the first things you can do for energy is to understand the importance of breaks. I say understand the importance because I didn't allow myself to take breaks. And a lot of people who are attracted to sales are very hustle driven, grind, like people who want to make a ton of money. And that was me, okay? And there's nothing wrong with making a ton of money. And there's just that more effortless, aligned way to do that, okay? And have that security and freedom that you're actually after. The first thing you can do is just understand the importance of breaks, okay? Breaks at a certain point are more productive than if you kept working. I'll say that one more time. Breaks at a certain point in your day, everybody needs breaks, are more productive than if you had just kept working and said, nah, fuck the break. Okay, why is this? Well, because you only have so much brain power, okay? You only have so much brain power. And you've probably felt this where you're just facing fatigue and just trying to force yourself when your body's telling you, you just need a break. You catch yourself going to the fridge, you catch yourself looking outside, looking away from your computer. Those are your body's signals that you need to take a break, okay? And it's gonna be going against the grain and natural rhythm of your body to continue forcing work, okay? Sometimes you may need to. If you find yourself accidentally caught in having to show up to a meeting, that's okay? But you wanna make sure that you're carving this out too as one of your blocks, okay? I should put it as an 80-20 because it's recharging you, Okay, it's like a phone. Like if you're on like 1%, if you've ever had a phone where it's like starts to lag, it's like laggy and everything. That's literally what this is like. Okay, so you need to understand, this was the only way that it clicked for me to allow myself to take breaks. I used to like watch all these high performing entrepreneurs who would just like unreasonable 17-hour day, and I was trying to be that level and comparing myself to these people. And in all reality, those people they're either lying or operating and actually taking breaks and understand the importance of them and just have a high level of understanding of energy and all this stuff that we don't quite have yet, okay? That you don't quite have if you're a beginner to this stuff. So breaks are important. And what gave me the opportunity to do them is to realize once I take a break, the next block I go into, the next thing I do is going to be more potent. And I'm going to be able to get it done faster, get more results with more ease, and I'll be recharged, present, and grounded in the process instead of huffing and puffing, sweating, and just taking myself out of myself or downing some coffee or like 5 nicotine pouches just to suppress what my body wants inside and what it's telling me to go forward. Okay, that's the biggest thing. Okay, so breaks. And this ties into what I said at the beginning of the call, at the beginning of the video, where your internal state is what is going to drive a lot of your external. As within, so without. It's literally a universal law, a principle of the universe. Okay, you can't escape it. So this is going to help your inner state calm down and be at ease, and this will bleed into you calling your prospects and them sensing a sense of calm instead of desperation. It's going to bleed into every areas that you can't even comprehend. It's going to literally, by law of energetic frequency, attract the opportunities to you more and help you, right? It's gonna somehow magically help you. Okay, that's all I'll say for that. Breaks. Okay. Now this is another thing that you want to understand. It's called the stress thermometer. Okay, I literally made this up because by the way, I've trained literally countless new hires at a very big, one of the most competitive companies in the space, in the tech space. And I was training tons and tons of new hires on my process, which is another reason why I have authority to talk about a lot of these things, okay? Stress thermometer. Whenever the biggest thing that people deal with in a sales role is stress am I gonna get to the meetings this month that I need? Am I gonna get to the quota? I'm not where I wanna be in the month. I need to, cancel my weekend plans and do some overtime, etc. I know there's a lot of time in the month left, but I'm just, things just haven't been working these past few days. Now I'm nervous I'm gonna spiral into, not hitting quota this month. And if I don't hit quota this month, it might delay my promotion. All this stuff, okay? So, stress thermometer, okay? What you have to realize is we all have a certain level of stress tolerance, okay? Now, there's a certain amount of stress that we spend on our daily activities, which if you're doing things right is these, okay? Some level of energy. You could call this an energy thermometer that we have. It's basically the amount of stress tolerance and energy capacity or energetic voltage that we have in a given day. So we're spending a portion here, okay? But there's an invisible force that is taking large portions of this and is filling up your meter. When it gets to here, this is when you get tired. This is when you're like, whew, I'm sweating, So there's an invisible force that is doing this. And this is all of those fears. It's the stress. It is, am I going to hit quota? Am I going to spiral into a bad month? Am I going to miss my number this month? Is my manager going to get mad at me in my next one-on-one? Am I, all this stuff is going to fill up this, okay? But the reality is this doesn't serve you. All it does is deplete your actual energy to hit your number, to actually put into the 80-20s, where that's gonna hit your number. If you had none of this and only had this, you'd blow past everybody. So literally the only thing that you wanna do if you wanna be a high performer, and this goes for any arena, but it works in sales and it worked for me to literally be top performing status multiple times, is surrender. As best you can, surrender. There's a lot of deep work behind this, but in a simple way, just understanding this can help you practice surrendering all these invisible forces, okay? You can do this as a practice in the morning before you start, and maybe just close your eyes. Take some deep breaths. Think of the stress thermometer, your energetic voltage capacity for the day, and just notice that agitation and all that stuff that is filling up your meter before you can even put it into what is going to actually drive the needle, okay? So just be aware of this and how this affects your life. And okay, so working with it and just being aware of it is going to already give you a ton of capacity to realize, okay, I'm stressed, I'm noticing it. Let me take some deep breaths and just sit with it, and then it kind of allows it to dissipate, okay, or dramatically lessen. Just understanding it, all right? Because so many people, I've seen comments on my videos where they're like, I don't know how to deal with all the stress in sales role, okay? It doesn't have to be stressful, okay? You can literally, if you just become aware of your energetic voltage capacity. And the other thing that can help you in this too is realizing, if I do my best, that's all I can do. That's a good surrendering kind of like reassurance for yourself that you can repeat to yourself, okay? And that doesn't mean put pressure, did I do my best? I didn't do my best. No, it just means do your best, listen to your body, take breaks, and operate smart and not work hard. You don't have to work hard, just work smart with using the time techniques, okay? And be aware of that whenever you catch yourself in a pattern of being stressed out about things that you can't control, surrender that. Just realize and kind of even visualize it as an energy leaving your body. You can practice like literally going like out with that energy, you know, take a walk, light some incense. It helps. I'm telling you, this is a real thing. And this is what drives a lot of people to just reaching their limits, burning out. It's literally that. Okay. All right. All right. The other thing for energy is, as you let yourself start to operate from that space of surrender and kind of letting go, like you can read, if you want to understand this deeper, read the book, and honestly I haven't read it to its entirety, but I've read the text multiple times and referenced it over the years. David Hawkins, Letting Go, The Art of Letting Go, okay? It's a great book. It'll help you understand a lot of what is causing this stress, okay? You can also, if you want to get deeper into, you can read Richard Schwartz, No Bad Parts. It helps you understand that these stressors are actually parts of us in our body that have specific fears or wounds from when we were kids, and that are driving us to hustle and bustle and do things for the wrong reasons. Instead of doing things from a place of abundance and excitement, we're doing things from a place of, I need to prove my worth with certain goals. I need to, I have a fear that I'm gonna, be abandoned if I don't pursue the status, or I'm a fear that I won't be safe if I don't achieve a certain amount of money or status, okay? So that's deep. That's as deep as you want to go. The deeper you can go down that rabbit hole and really heal, the more you're gonna align and realign your energetic system to, one, be able to do, get more results with less effort by abiding by those laws and healing and changing your energetic frequency, but also you may find that you align to a different opportunity, or you align to what is actually meant for you. Because if you can allow yourself to feel these fears and surrender them, and just by feeling and being aware of them alone allows them to dissipate, you're gonna start to uncover your deeper core self. And what's gonna happen is you start to resonate with what actually is meant for you, okay? Maybe it's a different type of sales role. Maybe it's a different anything, right? For me, I started to resonate with a different space, and that's what took me away from tech. Super grateful for my time in tech, but I'm now in a space where I'm operating in the arena that I'm really meant to, and it's a byproduct of the work that I've been doing to get in touch with my core self and remove what's in the way, okay? So that's a deep part of energetics. What was I gonna say? So this leads me to having a mission and a why. This is also very important, okay? We all have reasons we get into sales. We all want freedom. We all want to travel. We want financial security. It's good to remember this, okay? Because sales is like a sine wave. It's like a sound wave. If you've ever seen like a sine wave, like you're gonna have ups and downs. So the more that you can surrender and work with that that stress meter and understand that, the more that you can be good in the lows and also good in the highs, and not letting yourself get too ecstatic and reliant on needing a high to have everything else in your life be good, but also just allow yourself to be good when things are in a low, and just know that it's gonna go back up to a high, okay? And what can get you through the lows is knowing your mission and why. And this is just getting clear on a few bullet points why you do what you do. And then just telling yourself, like if you were to think why anything, why wake up today? What gets you excited to wake up and do what you're doing? Why do what I'm doing? Okay, maybe it's family. Maybe it's freedom. Maybe it's you want to operate your own business, impact you want to make on the world. Okay, these are all things that are definitely involved in my why. But having this, and honestly just looking at it when you're working or when you're feeling down, even if you start the day looking at this, like it's gonna fire you up and it's gonna alter that story in your brain, and it's gonna help you, like, because a lot of times we get trapped with these narratives of like, why am I even doing this? Or start to second guess and kind of pull yourself out of this and like, do I even need to do this? This is too hard. This is not meant for me. Everything's not fair. And so if you listen to this instead and just read this once a day, you can tap into that part of you that is going to cheer you on and be like, you know what? I remember why I'm doing this. Like, and that it gives you more power to move forward and more power and oomph to put in. Okay. So what am I missing on the energy front? Honestly, I'm not going to go too deep in this video because I want this video to be practical for beginners. If you're someone who wants to go deeper with the energetics, or just wants help with just feels like they're in a stressful state, lost, whether you don't know how to get a role, you want to get into a sales role in an aligned role that you feel like is right for you. If you're just lost in general and want help on guiding and understanding like what career might be best for you, for your authentic self, and try and get in touch with that to have that open up for you. Or if you're just facing burnout as a high performer, I've literally faced that, the peak of that, and I've operated with these principles and invested in mentorship and coaching that have helped me take a step back to go forward. And then I'm now able to operate in a place where I literally work so much less, and I have so much more abundance that is in my life, and so much more fulfillment. And even in my tech role, was able to literally still be very high on the charts and even be listed as top performer while operating from a space where I wasn't like what would look like working hard. Okay, so if any of that you want help, the first link in the description is where you can actually book a call with me one-on-one. I'd be happy to help you out in any way I can if you feel called to do that, okay? So that's the first link in the description. Again, the second link in the description is my Substack, where you can find this in written form. I may even have some things I didn't go too deep on today, but it's a very practical checklist guide in case you didn't take notes that you can have by your side when you are operating in your sales role, and maybe give you some of that ease and comfort that I was hoping to pass to you in this video as a space. Okay, so that's all for today. I enjoyed doing this video. I hope to see you in another one, and best of luck out there. Surrender to what you can't control. All right, it's gonna help you out. Bye.